Owning a home in today's world is something that really shouldn't be a stretch for the average American, yet we're living in a society where it's extremely hard to save up that down payment for the home. It's very hard to compete with other offers in this current real estate market, and not to mention that inflation is driving the price of these houses up like crazy. Luckily for you, if you're living in the greater Cleveland area, you're living in one of the cheaper markets in the United States, so it is a lot more attainable than other places, assuming you have the means to save that down payment, get that good credit score to get pre-qualified for a loan. And even then, the lenders that I work with have some down payment assistance for my buyers, so we can even work around saving that huge lump sum of money. Today, we're going to be talking about some of the most affordable places to live in the greater Cleveland area. So if you're already living here or if you're thinking about relocating here, these places are going to be the perfect place to start out, so that way you can learn the area. Maybe it's your first time buying a home. Maybe you already have an established family, but you don't want something that's above $300,000. You can still get a decent sized house here, but realistically you're going to be limited to a few areas, and I wanted to go over some of the best ones that you can walk your dog at night and not really have to worry about anything bad happening. And I wanted to give you something that's not some computer generated list that is going to just spit out random statistics. I want you to have something that is actually based on facts and what it's like as a human experience living there, so that way you're actually able to get some information from someone who grew up in these areas, who knows them very well. I'm a realtor here and I sell a lot of houses in these areas. So if you're starting to think about moving this way, definitely reach out to me. I'm going to be able to help you with that down payment assistance and also getting to actually move to this area. I've got programs that are going to make your life a lot easier here when you start to transition over this way. So all my contact info is down in the description, but we are going to hop right into number 5 on the list for the most affordable areas in the Cleveland area. And that's going to be Brooklyn, Ohio. Now, Brooklyn, Ohio is directly south of Cleveland. It's a really great area, and I think it's a little bit more up and coming in my opinion, just due to the fact that it's one of those last affordable areas that you can get a really nice house around that $200,000 mark. If you drive through the city of Brooklyn, you're going to see a decent amount of trees. The houses are a little bit closer together because you are closer in proximity to Cleveland. The schools are okay. Something to note that on this list, all of the schools are ranked the exact same on Zillow, but some of them rank better than each other on the US News official ranking. And this one is good enough to prepare your kid for college or post-high school life, if that matters to you. While you're exploring this area, you're going to see a lot of younger people walking or running, riding their bikes. A lot of the people that are in this area are either longtime homeowners who've lived there for 20 plus years, or first-time home buyers who just needed to break into the market before they move into their next area. And I can see a lot of people staying in this area just with the positive transition that it's taking on. It's still in the beginning period, but there is a lot of investing happening here where these houses are getting built back up after sitting for so long, maybe vacant or just were neglected over time. So it is seeing a pretty big influx of people wanting to restore the area, mixed with people who are moving in after it's been restored, who are going to care for the home and actually take pride in what they own. Now in Brooklyn, you're going to be able to get a house for that $200,000 to $250,000 price point. The house is probably going to be around 1,000 to 1,500 square feet. You're going to get your 3 bedrooms. You're going to get your 1 bathroom at least, obviously, possibly a 1.5. But the other thing that you're going to get is going to be a full basement in most cases. A lot of the houses here are not built on slabs or crawl spaces. You do get all of that extra storage downstairs, and that is one of those things that come in extremely handy. And take note from me, I bought a house that is on a crawl space and I very quickly ran out of room. And to top it all off, it's only got a 1-car garage. So that was a little bit of a downgrade in 2 sections from my last house, but I love the area that I'm in now, so I cannot complain at all. But on the next house that I get, the basement is going to be a non-negotiable. I do want to see one in there. There isn't a lot to do in the Brooklyn area, but you've got like a 15 to 20 minute commute to get to downtown Cleveland or any of the surrounding cities. In reality, it's really easy to just hop on the highway and go to whatever you're needing. If you do need some shopping, you're probably going to be at the Ridge Park Square Shopping Plaza or at the different shopping centers on Brook Park and Tiedemann. Now, as far as fun things to do in this area, there's a museum of witchcraft and magic over here, and it's pretty cool to check out. They're open regularly, and it's one of those cool things that you can go do once or twice, and you're probably not going to find anything like it anywhere else. Now, jumping into number 2 on our list of most affordable places to live in the greater Cleveland area, we've got Brook Park, Ohio. Now, Brook Park is a little bit east of Brooklyn, where we were just at, and over here, you're going to have a little bit safer area. You're going to have a much better better school district. And the reason for that better school district is because they are coupled in with Middleburg Heights and Berea at Berea Mid-Park High School. Now, the reason that I bring up these schools is because a lot of the time, the better the school, the better the city is going to be. So if you start to take that into consideration with the home that you're buying, it's going to help you out when you go to resell your house further in the future, if that is something that you are exploring and something that you want to take a step up from where you're at. But if this is going to be a home for you for 20 years, there's nothing wrong with that either. Now, Brook Park is going to have a similar living style to Brooklyn, where houses are kind of close together. You're going to get a little bit more space here. However, it is still one of those areas where there's not a whole lot to do. So you're probably going to find yourself leaving the city regularly to go do some of those activities that are going to keep you busy. In Brook Park, you're going to get a lot of Cape Cod, colonial, and ranch style homes, which is similar to the Brooklyn area. And the size of the homes are going to be pretty similar as well, where you're going to be in that 1,000 to 1,500 square foot. And you're definitely going to be under that 250K mark as well. However, as we dive deeper into this list, you're going to have more options if you wanted to spend a little bit more money and get a bigger house, or maybe be in a different area. You definitely have the opportunity to do so if you wanted. Now, these houses that are in this area, you're probably going to be able to get into them with minimal effort as far as having to lift fingers when you move in. You might have to update some flooring, you might have to paint a little bit, but they're going to be completely livable houses, which is extremely nice, because $250,000 in a lot of other markets isn't really going to do a whole lot for you. And realistically, that 200 to 250K mark here is getting a little bit tricky to get in homes, but it is still very doable at this time of this video. And I specialize in helping people get into really good deals for their homes. So when we're touring homes here, you're not going to have to worry about getting a lemon per se. Me and my team have a big background in construction, and we're going to help you make that good decision. Now, over in this Brook Park area, you are probably going to be shopping at that Brook Park and Tiedemann shopping center, where there's a ton of stores and restaurants over in that highway area. So you're not really gonna have to worry. You've got Home Depot and Menards, you've got Aldi, you've got Sam's Club, Buffalo Wild Wings, McDonald's, Chipotle, Starbucks. Anything you need is gonna be in that area, plus more. So if you live over this way, you're not gonna have to drive very far. And if you do have to go anywhere, it's pretty much a 10-minute drive to North Olmsted. It's not very hard to get here at all. If you are moving to this Brook Park area, something to keep in mind is that the planes fly overhead here because the airport is in Berea. So you are going to have a little bit of noise overhead if that bothers you. If that's something that's a deal killer for you, this might not be the correct area for you to live in, but realistically, it's not that bad. If you want something fun to do in the area, they've got Boss Go-Karting and axe throwing. That's always a blast to do, get your adrenaline running. And that's just a really fun activity to do over and over again if racing is your thing, or even just throwing some axes at wood. Now, Brook Park was number 4 on that list of places to live in the greater Cleveland area that are still affordable. And we're going to be moving into number 3 now, which is going to be Parma, Ohio. Now, me personally, I grew up in Parma, Ohio, spent 20 years there before I went off to college, and then ended up eventually coming back to the Cleveland area. So this place is kind of near and dear to my heart. I had a great time growing up here. It's changed a lot since I've been there, but I don't think it was necessarily for the worse. I don't think the schools are as good as they used to be, but they're still very adequate, and they still equate to the other cities that we're talking about. And the cool thing here is you've got 2 to choose from, so depending on what part of Parma you live in, you could be going to Normandy or Valley Forge. And for the sake of this video, I'm going to couple Parma Heights into this category as well, because they're basically the same thing in reality. Up on the north side of Parma, you're going to find some really amazing houses for around that $220,000 mark. They are going to be pretty much renovated, or at least in good condition. You're going to have shopping close by at Ridge Park Square, or you could go to that Brook Park and Tiedemann area. You're going to be pretty central to the two of them. You've got a little bit more activity to do in Parma than some of these other surrounding areas. And if you're on this north side, you've got incredibly fast access to the highway. Now, that is one of the downsides to Parma, is the fact that if you start to go a little bit south, it gets a little bit trickier to get on a highway. You're probably going to be closer to that 15-minute drive just to get on the highway. If you start to work your way into that southern area for looking at houses, you're probably going to be closer to that 250 mark or so to get the 1,500 square foot house. But regardless, the houses here are still great options to choose from. Since you're moving further south of Cleveland, you're going to be closer to that 20 to 25-minute mark to get to downtown itself, which still in reality isn't a bad drive if you want to go downtown to catch a game or hit some nice restaurants. But the nicer part about Parma is that it's It's a lot more built up than some of these other areas. And if you're on a main road, there's a pretty good chance that you're going to be passing some sort of shopping center. All the way around Parma, there's a bunch of different options for you to choose from, whether it be retail, grocery, or restaurants. And if you're in the center of that Parma Heights area, go to Southside Diner for breakfast. Used to go there a ton growing up, and I still try to go every once in a while, but it's got some great food for some really great prices. Moving into number 2 on our list of most affordable places to live in the greater Cleveland area, it's going to be Berea, Ohio. Now here, for that $250,000 mark, you're going to get a little bit smaller house because this area is a little bit higher quality just with everything that they have to offer for their residents. The houses here are going to be a lot older, might be in a little bit worse condition, but if you can break into this market, I don't think you can go wrong living here, just due to the fact that it's going to keep appreciating. If you put some sweat equity into a home here, you're going to be in a really great place. Depending on where you're at, you have a very quick drive to Coe Lake, which is one of my favorite spots to hang out. You can go fishing, you can walk around the pass. They put on movie nights during the summer. You can have a picnic. It's just one of those spots that fits the lifestyle of a lot of people to just go around and feel like they're in nature, even though it's realistically like the middle of a suburb. This is located extremely close to their downtown area where they're gonna have some cool shopping and great restaurants. And also next to that is gonna be the university. Now Baldwin Wallace is right over there, so it's got some amazing architecture if you're walking through the actual campus itself. If you go to school there, it's a great spot to be. They offer a ton to their students, and it's a really great curriculum as well. And something that you'll notice driving through all of Berea, it's very well kept. It's a very aesthetically pleasing place to be if you are living there. It's just something that is more of a breath of fresh air in today's society, where they actually care about how their city looks. They do a great job at keeping up with it, and I don't think you can go wrong living here. Now, like I said, you're probably going to get a little bit lesser quality house, but if you can up your budget a little bit over closer to that $300,000 mark, you're not going to have a problem finding a decent house here. And with Berea being so nice, you are going to have options above that as well. And with Berea being kind of a desirable area, you're also going to have some options that are further up as well. So if you wanted to stay within Berea after moving here, you could just potentially sell that original home when you're ready to upgrade to something a little bit bigger if you wanted to stay in this school district. Again, if you are looking for something that is a little bit more of a fixer-upper in this area, we are going to be able to help guide you. Like I said, I've got a big construction background. We have amazing inspectors that we work with. So you're going to be able to do a lot of due diligence before you actually commit to buying a home. Now moving into our number 1 spot for the most affordable living in Cleveland, Ohio, you are going to have North Ridgeville. Now North Ridgeville is number 1 on the list for me for a few different reasons, and that is the fact that it is currently being built up. So you still have the opportunity to get in here relatively cheap. It's going to be a smaller house, closer to that 1,000 square foot for the 200 to 250 range. But with all the new construction that's happening here, it's only going to make this area more desirable, and it's only going to help the value of your home, making it a great investment. The city as a whole has been growing, and I think it has a really positive outlook on its future. Now, with all that being said, this option could be completely irrelevant in the next 5 years, just with the prices going up over time. But if you're moving over this way right now, I would recommend getting in while you can. These new build neighborhoods that are going up are in that $500,000 to $700,000 range, so you are going to have a really good quality of life if you move here. You're not going to really have to worry about anything negative that borders North Ridgeville, because the areas that border it are even better than it. As far as the shopping and restaurants go, there aren't a ton of restaurants here. It's mainly going to be the fast food style restaurants. However, there are more moving in as it grows, and there are more commercial spaces being built. But in North Ridgeville, you're gonna have a ton of different shopping. You've got Aldi, you've got Mark's, you've got Giant Eagle, and Giant Eagle is actually in the same plaza as my office for real estate. But intertwined with all of these stores in those plazas are going to be your fast food options, and there are some bars scattered throughout as well. The other nice part about North Ridgeville is the fact that it's not a part of Cuyahoga County, and it's still relatively close to Cleveland. You're getting to be that 30 to 35 minute drive, but it's realistically not that bad if you need to get downtown. You just hop on 480 and drive all the way in. And not being a part of Cuyahoga is going to give you a little bit of tax savings. You're not going to have to pay the RETA tax. You're going to have a little bit cheaper property taxes over here, and you're getting a little bit different and better quality of life than you would in some of the original ones on the list that we talked about today. North Ridgeville High School is a great opportunity for students to go to, and it's even ranked a lot better than the other schools that we talked about today. Something interesting to think about is the fact that 20 years ago, North Ridgeville was pretty much all farmland. and it's come an extremely long way as far as the commercial and residential living goes. So while you're driving through here, just think about that. It's really wild to see how this area has just expanded over such a short amount of time. If you're looking for something nature related to do here, Sandy Ridge Reservation is a cool spot to go walk around and just be in nature. That whole nature walk is filled with a bunch of different wildlife, and from what I hear, it's a really great spot to go bird watching. So that kind of concludes my list of the top 5 best places to live if you are working with a smaller budget in the greater Cleveland area. If you want a little bit more information about these cities, I do deeper dives on them, and you can find links on every single one in the description. And while you're down there, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button, because it is going to keep you up to date with everything that is happening in the greater Cleveland area. And if you're thinking of moving over this way, definitely reach out to me. All of my contact information you'll find down there as well. But with all that being said, I'm going to leave the video there. I'll catch you in the next one.